sachet together. Okay, so we're going to crush the garlic, is that right? Okay, so we have our garlic. Okay, we're just going to go crush it, put it right in here and peel it. And we're also going to crack our peppercorns. We're going to use a small saute pan to do that. Okay, so salt pork. What is salt pork? Kind of looks like bacon, right? Okay, yeah, actually we are using bacon, but the difference between salt pork and bacon is salt pork has been cured, but it's not smoked. Okay, so that's the difference there. Okay, so for our peppercorns, we're going to crack our peppercorns, and we're going to do that just with a small pan. So we're just going to roll this. So as we roll it, it just cracks it. So we're just going to roll it, just crack it just like that. Okay, what else are we going to put in our sachet?
Rosemary,
Rosemary, thyme, and bay leaf. This is dry, but whenever we have fresh, it's always a bonus. So we're going to put in some fresh rosemary, some fresh thyme, and we'll put in some bay leaf also. Okay, so this is a little bit different than our classical sachet. What's in our classical sachet?
Onions, celery.
That's bouquet garnier.
the parsley,
Parsley stems, peppercorns, bay leaf, and some thyme. Okay, so that's a classical sachet. This is a little bit different. This has rosemary, garlic, it has some bay leaf, and some thyme, and some cracked peppercorns. Okay, so for our tomato sauce, okay, we're going to render our salt pork. Okay, so rendering. Render, we want to be at about medium heat. And if this doesn't have enough fat in it, we're going to add a little bit more fat. A little bit more fat via a little bit of butter in here. And that'll help to render it. And that way it won't burn. So we're going to add the salt pork to that. And what we want to do is we want to get out as much fat as we can without burning it. Okay, now this bacon. Okay, we talked the other day about different style cutting boards. Okay, bacon is meat, right?
Yes,
raw.
sir.
So what type of cutting board are we using? We're going to use a red cutting board. Okay, that's very, very important. Okay, so this is rendering out. Okay, what's our next step here? Okay, add the onions and the carrots. After that gets rendered out. Now, onions and our carrots, what size are we cutting those? Medium dice, okay? We want to make sure they're medium dice or close facsimile so that they'll cook evenly. Okay? Because after we get done with this tomato sauce and it cooks, first thing we're going to check for doneness is we're going to check our carrots. Because this is going to have to go through a food mill, like we did the other day with the mashed potatoes. And if those aren't cooked all the way, what do you think is going to happen?
Chunks.
It's not going to go through that food mill. So we want to make sure that the carrots are nice and tender.
Yes, chef.
Okay. In the cooler, actually right over here, we've got some tomato sauce. We're going to open that can up. Thank you. So we're going to need a quart of that. You can use that portable can opener if you want to. You got it? Okay.
Is that for the measuring, chef, or do you want me to get one?
No, we'll use this right here. There we go. Thank you.
We need a quart, Paige.
I just added about a quarter of an ounce. I just added that just to kind of get the bacon going. If you don't do that, it tends to want to burn on the bottom of the pot. So just add about 1/4 of an ounce. There we go. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to add our carrot sticks and our onions. Okay, we're just going to cook these till they start to get a little bit soft. Okay, now, carrots and onions, what do you think the purpose are of those in the sauce?
Flavor?
Flavor, okay. And the carrots are going to make, carrots and the onions, they're going to make your sauce sweet.
Okay.
Okay. At the end of the recipe, it says you can add some sugar. You know, if you take and you sweat these and you bring out the natural sugar in these vegetables, you shouldn't have to add any sugar.
That's, if I have a question, that's not tomato sauce, that's a puree, right?
Yeah.
Because we're making tomato sauce.
Yeah.
Okay. Phil see me look cross-eyed and then he goes, what are you confused about? I said,
Yeah.
Okay.
Different.
okay.
Okay, so our recipe calls for tomatoes and tomato puree. And the tomatoes, they're tomatoes that have been diced, and the juice is still there also. Okay, so after our vegetables get soft, what does our recipe call for us to do?
Add the tomatoes and their juice, tomato puree, bones and sachet. Bring to a boil.
Okay, thank you, Paige. Okay, so we're going to add our tomatoes.
And that's just tomatoes that's been pureed, correct,
That's
Chef?
tomatoes, that's diced tomatoes.
Diced.
Yeah, diced tomatoes. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to bring this up to a simmer. That's going to start our cooking process. Okay, you may need to add a little bit of liquid to this, a little bit of water, and we'll see how that starts to cook up. Okay, right now we're going to season it. Okay. We want to season at the beginning of our cooking process because we want to bring out flavors. If we don't, we're going to have to add a lot of seasoning at the end. Okay, but we want to be careful here. What do we have in here that may make it salty?
The pork.
Okay, we have the pork in there, so you want to be careful with that. Okay, always remember with seasonings, you can't take them out, and you can always add a little bit more. We're going to get the seasoning started on here, so we're going to bring this to a simmer, and then what are we going to do? We're going to add our sachet, and we're just going to put it over here and let it simmer slowly, stirring it occasionally so that it does not burn.
So, Chef, you add the sachet, what, 30, after you get a simmer?
After I get a simmer.
180 degrees?
Yep, about 180 degrees, yeah. Okay, right now it looks a little bit thick. When it gets hot, it's going to be a little bit thinner, but we have to add just a little bit of water to this. Sometimes the tomatoes have a lot of juice in them, sometimes not so much, so take that into consideration. Okay, while this is coming to a simmer, okay, we're going to do some hollandaise sauce.